Okay, hello everyone, welcome to the meeting of the local review body. Once again, in the absence of the chair and vice chair, I'm going to ask members for nominations for the appointment of a chair. Ireland.
I propose Councillor Lundy for chair.
I'll second that.
So that's Councillor Ireland, seconded by Councillor Morrison, proposed Councillor Lundy. Is anyone else otherwise minded? No, that's unanimous. So Councillor Lundy can now assume the chair and we'll carry on with the meeting.
Welcome to the meeting of the local review body. My name is Councillor Lundy and I am the acting chair of the local review body. Councillors present today are Paul Edlin, Annette Ireland and Andrew Morrison. John Burke is the clerk to the local review body. Mark Brand is the independent planning advisor to the local review body. He has had no involvement in the processing of any planning application which are subject to review. Jerry Mahon is the legal advisor and is responsible for preparing the local review body's decision notices and to provide advice as necessary. And we have Linda Hutchison, who is the Senior Committee Services Officer. Any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair, we have apologies from Provost Montague, Councillor Cunningham and Councillor McLean.
Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest with regards to the agenda items? The local review body has been asked to consider two items of business today. The details of the first case are as follows. Item 3, Notice of Review. Review 202308, Garage and Conservatory Conversion with a new standalone garage at 8 The Laurels, Newton Mearns, G776XR. The reference number is 20230054TP. Do we have sufficient information to determine the review?
Yes.
Mark, would you like to introduce?
Thank you, Chair. The first case this afternoon is for the erection of a double garage with alteration to conservatory to create a sunroom at number 8 The Laurels, Newton Mearns. The proposal is in Ward 2, that's Newton Mearns North and Neilston. There were no objections or representations to the application. I'll now summarise the decision by the planning case officer. The proposal was assessed against National Planning Framework 4 Policy 16, Quality Homes, and Local Development Plan 2 Policies D1, D1.1 and D2. The planning officer noted that other houses have garages located to the front, but considers this proposal to be located in a prominent location at the entrance to the estate. The garden space of the Laurels creates a sense of openness, making a positive contribution to the character and visual amenity of the area. The specific location and the 7 metre by 7 metre by 5 metre dimensions of the garage creates a proposal of size, scale and massing which is incongruous to the street scene and would have a detrimental impact on the character and visual amenity of the surrounding area. They therefore refused the application for the following reasons. The proposal would have a significant detrimental impact upon the character and amenity of the surrounding area. The proposal is therefore contrary to National Planning Framework Policy 16 and Policies D1, D1.1 and D2 of the Local Development Plan 2. I'll now summarise the reasons given in the Statement of Appeal. These are: the design takes consideration of the character of a property and the design and character of the street. The proposed development of the standalone garage does not result in a loss of character and amenity to the surrounding area. Secondly, the house at number 1 Laurels has a standalone garage sitting directly in front of the main house. Thirdly, The proposed garage will match exactly with the garage at number 1 and be of a similar scale, form and materials. Furthermore, 3 other houses within the cul-de-sac have single-storey garages to the front of the main house. There is no established street pattern with a mixture of houses with standalone garages to the front, adjoining garages to the front of the main house, and garages integral to the building, to the dwelling. The proposed materials complement and reflect the character of the existing property and those of the surrounding area. The views of the busy main road will be obscured and road noise will be reduced by the garage, making the Laurels more pleasant and private. And finally, the applicant points out there will be no objections made in regard to this application. If the local review board see fit to uphold the appeal, then the following planning condition should be applied. The development hereby approved must be begun not later than the expiration of 3 years beginning with the date on which permission is granted, or, as the case may be, deemed to be granted. For reason, to comply with the provisions of Section 58 of the Town and Country Planning Scotland Act 1997 as amended. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Ireland.
Thank you very much, Chair. It was just a comment. I just wanted to say that I agree with the conclusion of the report before us, and I wanted to move that we uphold the planner's decision to refuse. I do think that it would be incongruous. It's a very prominent location, that much was we could see when we went out, and I agree that it's probably contrary, or it is contrary, to the policies as listed out in the refusal decision.
Councillor Edlund.
In normal circumstances, I would agree with Councillor Ireland, but what concerns me in this case is that there's a precedent in the same little enclave or street where somebody else, at least one other person, has done what we are proposing to stop. And in fact, maybe more than one person has done the same thing. So it becomes rather unfair that what is sauce for the goose is no longer sauce for the gander. And this concerns me. It's a lack of consistency by us, which I think is unfair.
Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I take cognizance of the points my colleague Councillor Edlund has made, and I think that there is a slight difference in this particular case. When you stand at the end of the Laurels and look out onto Crookford Road, which is an area I'm fairly well acquainted with myself, the double garage at property number 1 is on the right hand side. It's concealed from Crookford Road by mature vegetation, trees, so on, and it sits slightly downhill, so it's concealed from the streetscape as well. The property in consideration here at number 8 already has the benefit of a double garage structure, so there isn't actually any net gain in that context. But by extending the home into the existing double garage and building this new structure, it will lose that sense of openness which the residents in the Laurels benefit from, with the open outlook onto Crookford Road. And I think from that point of view that yes, this would be equitable with the property at number 1. One has a double garage, this will have a double garage. The key difference here is the location of where that structure would be, and the impact it has to the streetscape for all of the residents. And I think from that point of view, I would also move that we uphold the planner's decision. Thank you.
I tend to agree with what you're saying there, Councillor Morrison, with regards to the possession of the property, and I think that's the only thing that makes the difference here. Edlin, would you like?
No, I was just going to say that I am swayed by the arguments by my esteemed colleague Councillor Morrison in this and your agreement, Chair, and everybody else, so I will accept that.
So, do you want to formally move that at Councillor Ireland?
Yes, I would like to move that we uphold the planner's decision to refuse.
And I'll second it.
And no one's otherwise minded.
So the decision of the local review body in this case is that the decision of the planning officer be upheld and planning permission be refused in this case. Okay.
Moving on to item number 4, which is notice of review 202309, dormer extensions plus internal alterations to an existing detached dwelling house at 30 Cheviot Drive, Newton Mearns, G775AS, reference number 20230217TP. Do we feel we have sufficient information to determine the review?
Yes.
Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. This application is for roof alterations and the creation of a rear gable extension with a dormer to the front at 38 Cheviot Drive, Newton Mearns. It's located in Ward 5, Newton Mearns South and Eaglesham. There were no objections to the application. I'll summarise the decision by the planning case officer. There was a previous application made in 2022 which was withdrawn. The planning officer considered the proposed dormer to the front is considered dominant and incongruous, detracting from the character and design of the existing dwelling house. Where front dormer windows are present on other dwellings in the street, they are of more modest scale and comprise flat or traditionally proportioned hipped roofs. The formation of the rear gable, an increase in ridge height, dominates and overwhelms the character and design of the original hipped roofed dwelling. The rear gable would be visible when heading east along Cheviot Drive. As such, the proposed rear gable would be an incongruous feature to the detriment of the visual character of the area. I'll quickly summarise the statement of appeal. The front dormer is in keeping with the character and design of the existing building. There are multiple examples of pitched roof construction to properties within the same street and area. And secondly, the rear dormer extension does not detract from the character of the building or area due to an increase of ridge line height. The proposed ridge height remains the same and extends to the rear garden of a property, not the front. It is therefore not visible. The reasons for refusal given by the planning case officer were: the proposal is contrary to Policy 16 of the National Planning Framework 4 and Policies D1 and D1.1 of the East Renfrewshire Local Development Plan, as the proposal would have a detrimental impact on the visual character of the area and detract from the character and design of the existing dwelling. The proposal is also contrary to the Supplementary Guidance Householder Design Guide 2023, as it does not respect the character of the original house and surrounding area in terms of design, scale and materials. Should the local review board decide to grant the appeal, the following planning conditions should apply. The development hereby approved must be begun not later than the expiration of 3 years beginning with the date on which permission is granted, or, as the case may be, deemed to be granted. The reason given this is to comply with the provisions of Section 58 of the Town and Country Planning Act, Scotland, 1997. And secondly, the development should not commence until samples of the external finishing materials to be used on the proposed development have been submitted to and approved in writing by the planning authority. Thereafter, the development shall be implemented in accordance with the approved details. The reason to ensure that the development is acceptable in appearance. Thank you, Chair.
Any comments from members? Councillor Edmund.
First of all, I don't agree with Mr. Pepler's comment about the proposed dormer that's being put in place, that the applicant wants to put in place, because if you look at the other dormers in bungalows nearby in that street, there are big ones, small ones, multiple combinations, huge dormers that are not in character, if one wishes to describe what the character of the original bungalows are. So in actual fact, there is no such thing in that street as the character of the street. There are so many dissimilar dormers there, some very large as this proposed one, others smaller, others multiple in the same section of the roof. Because I'm not an architect, so I don't know how you would describe that. So to say it's out of character is not true in my opinion, and it's certainly not going to be distinguishable from any others. If anybody driving down there would see it the same as all the other miscellaneous dormers down there. Regarding the building at the back, well, it's not going to be seen, so it's from the front. It's only going to be seen at the back, and there are no properties behind there. It's woodland area. I couldn't get into the back. I couldn't open the gate to look exactly back. I think that was shown in the plans today. It was difficult in the rain, etc. But from what I could see, it doesn't make any difference. And if you look at the different extensions again in the street, there are odds and sods all over that street. And the building right next door, where it can be seen, has got an extension at the side, which is a bit of an eyesore compared to this, which is right at the back and relatively incongruous in my opinion. So my view is that this should be allowed to proceed.
Any other comments? Councillor Ireland.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think this is why these site visits are so important, because it became apparent really quickly when we went out that you really would not see the extension at the back and the gable. I think there was only one point in the road where there was a possibility you might just be able to look through and see it, and it was only one point. So because of that, and I don't find that the dormer is incongruous, I don't find that the applications contrary to policies D1 and D1.1, I don't think it will be incongruous or dominant, and would absolutely not detract from the character and design of the existing dwelling, because we can see there's so many other extensions and amendments to houses all round there, and I think that won't affect area then at all. So I agree with the planning conditions as set out as well, but I think we should overturn the planner's finding.
Morrison.
Thank you, Chair. I think that this property does benefit from a very convenient location and the fact that it has woodland to the rear. So there is some massing, I believe, to the rear extension of this property, and that it will no longer have a pyramid-shaped roof, or I think it's a hit roof in the technical parlance, but actually it will be fully constructed out and it'll be a kind of gable. I didn't see any other extensions of that sort in the street, but I think in this case it would be acceptable because there is woodland to the rear which conceals the view of the property, and also the fact it's in a corner means it's further from the adjacent neighbours on each side than if it was on a straight. So from those points of view, I wouldn't have a contrary view to what Councillors Edlund and Ireland have said. Thank you.
I tend to agree with everything that's been said, Councillor Edlund.
Move to over. Is the word overturn correct word?
Yeah. Does anyone?
I'll second that.
Is anyone otherwise minded?
So the proposal of Councillor Edlin, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is to overturn the decision of the planning officer and grant planning permission based on the conditions outlined earlier in the report. And I believe that's everything, Chair.
Thank you very much for your attendance. The meeting is concluded.